when we go out in the world, in reality, are they actualized? Are those values active? Um, do you see them out there? For example, like if you have a sense of commitment and if you agree with that, if you choose to value that, will you immediately actualize that and act upon that in your real life?
Welcome, everyone, to the Being Framework Leadership Foundation series. I'm Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, and I am joined once again by Ashkan Tashvir as we begin episode 13 Being Framework Transformation Methodology. And I'm excited about what we're going to be doing here, Ashkan, because I know this is the one topic that is probably the most interesting, which is transformation.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Enrique, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Very excited to start the session today.
All right, folks. So, what we covered last session, the mission of making transformation more accessible. What is the Being Profile Self Discovery course? The experience of the Being Profile Self Discovery course, and practical use cases and examples. And in this episode, we will be covering what is transformation, the role of transformation in leadership, being framework and transformation methodology, leveraging the being framework transformation methodology in action, the role of the conception worksheet in the process of transformation, and how to maximize the benefit of the transformation methodology. Now, I want to take this time to remind everybody that this series is part of a 50 series course for leaders and anyone that really wants to take this course. And it's fully complimentary. And you can go to the link, and we will also add that link to the show notes so that you can access this course. But 50 series. It's intense. We bring up all the things that deal with the being profile, with the being methodology, with transformation, as we covering tonight. And then we're going to go into some series where we are going to really target some of the things that are integral and are important to business owners, to leaders, to corporate, and all the folks that deal with the executive side.
So, as we've promised, we're going to have 14 episodes in Module 1, where this is now 13. We're going to unpack the process of transformation, leveraging the Beam framework, the transformation methodology. And in the next episode, we're going to recap all that we have covered from the beginning till now. Then we go to Module 2, where the conversation is going to be more podcast style. We're going to go and pick the tangible um, challenges of leadership in action in a way, and we're going to discuss those as we go. I hope that you've enjoyed the last three episodes that we have. We discussed being profile, self-discovery course. Like Arya helped us going through all that, and by now I think that you should have a good understanding of the assessment tool. Now, I would like to tell you that you don't have to necessarily use the assessment tool. Ontological model of the being framework is the most important part of it. Like if you can manage to look into those areas, help gaining help from the distinctions that's there, that should be good. But definitely, as we've gone through the benefits of the assessment tool and the self-discovery course, so I'll leave it with you if you would like to experience that. So, authenticity. Yeah, we discussed the authenticity quadrant in particular. So we said that we do have perceptions and conceptions. We perceive things immediately, through our sensory abilities, and also we are capable of tapping into our mental processes such as comparison, analysis, contemplation, reflections, and so on. And we can shape, hopefully, accurate, congruent conceptions of different fragments of reality. When we're dealing with various different ideas, different parts of material reality, things, ideas, and constructs and concepts, we shape a view of them, and I'll call them perceptions and conceptions. Yeah. So we talked about authenticity of our conceptions of different parts of reality, whether they are sitting comfortably in material reality or they are more abstract constructs or concepts. We discussed, we have our self image conversations that you have with yourself about yourself, and also persona conversations you have with the world about yourself, beliefs, conversations you have with yourself about the word, and opinions and conversations you have with the board about the word. Now, we relate to matters, ideas, concepts, constructs in one word or another. It's not like we don't have any sense of them. Now, to what extent are accurate, authentic, that's a different conversation. And that matters. We discussed that in previous episodes. What I want to talk about now in this episode is, w- we relate to different concepts and constructs, and we act upon them. Now, in the world that we're living in, we're not in short of ideas, perceptions, conceptions, beliefs, and opinions. What we are in short of is actually the methods that we can leverage in having them stick in a way. Yeah. So you often hear that, and it's quite common that we say that we value altruism, we care about humanistic approaches, kindness, love. We talk about all of these, commitment, honesty. There's so many different things that we do have a sense of. And the being framework ontological model suggests an alternative perceptions of each and every of these 31 qualities that we have. Yeah, so you have that in that repository as well. Now, but when we go out in the world, in reality, are they actualized? Are those values active? Do you see them out there? For example, like if you have a sense of commitment, and if you go through, let's say, the distinction that we have here in the ontological model of the being framework, um, if you agree with that, if you choose to value that, will you immediately actualize that and act upon that in your real life? Yeah, so you have a sense of commitment. But for example, if you're committing, if you're making this promise to yourself that you're going to wake up in the mornings, go to the gym, work with the personal trainer, and then you're going to stick to your diet, are you going to do that or not? Yeah. So that's exactly where then we discussed ontological responsiveness. Only in short, we can call it responsiveness. Responsiveness was one of the three core elements of leadership as we've created it from the get go in the first episode of this series. Now, if you want to um, look into a kind of religious um, narrative, traditionally speaking, if, for example, you look into Abrahamic faith, yeah, so one suggestion is, we human beings are torn between good and evil, yeah, whatever that they supposed to mean. That basically means that, the way that I interpret it is, um, we are we have these good calls, but those calls are permanently being tempted. Yeah. So now, so when it comes to the Abrahamic faith, um, uh, there is this deontological fixed ethical framework that is being proposed, and then you are to accept that if you choose to be in that religion, let's say, and then you are to follow that. But in a more modern way, if you want to look at it, it's like you are self-selecting the things that you choose to value. Yeah. Now, even from a religious perspective, at the end of the day, it's you as an individual who identify as that religion, that you interpret them in certain way and then you adopt them. So at the end of the day, it's you who is basically choosing your value structure. Yeah. And if you want to see it in a more modern way, is like you as an individual, as this cognitive agent, you choose the things that you want to care about. You choose the things that you want to value. So, in that regard, your value system is self selected. Now, we're not ignoring the impact that the environment and others and your upbringing and other factors have. But at the end of the day, as an adult, you have this ability to choose your value structure. Yeah. Now, the moment that you choose to value something, then you don't want to violate your self selected value system. Because the moment that you violate your self selected value structure, then you're going to lose respect for yourself. Hence, the authenticity matters. Yeah. Now, so I think that we have discussed the distinctions, the qualities we have in the framework, how they relate to our performance in the previous episodes enough. Now here we're going to talk about this thing. Imagine that if you have decided to take some of these alternative perceptions or the distinctions that we're providing, if you choose to go, okay, yeah, I get it. It seems that um, the this perception or conception of um, um, commitment, let's say, or responsibility is what I want to choose. So you're going to look into your life and you're going to use the conception worksheet as we've gone through it, and you're going to find instances that your existing way of relating to commitment or responsibility, let's say, for the sake of argument, is not necessarily working. It's not contributing to the integrity of your life. By integrity of your life, I mean you setting different parts of your life, different dimensions of your life in such a way that at least it works for you. So, if you come to this realization that your existing way of relating to these qualities, such as commitment or responsibility, is not necessarily working for you, and you want to own that and you want to be responsible for that, then you may consider to go through transformation of your conception of commitment or responsibility or other qualities. Now, that's the beginning part of transformation. We want to change fundamentally the way that we may relate to a quality, let's say responsibility or commitment. Then the next part is then when we want to act upon that, and that's a different phase to our transformation. As I said, we're not short of ideas or beliefs or available perceptions or conceptions of different qualities, such as commitment. But what we are in short of is um, activating that and actualizing that as we act out in the world. Yeah. So this diagram is basically giving you a kind of high level picture um, of what we refer to as being framework transformation methodology. So at the top we have awareness, in the middle we have application phase, and then we have the effectiveness part. So we always start with a degree of awareness, and then we move towards a degree of effectiveness, because fundamentally this axiomatic law is being taken that you cannot become effective in things that you are unaware of or you have misconceptions of. Yeah. Hence authentic awareness, accurate understanding of something matters in order for you to generate a higher degree of effectiveness in that area. Now, we're not saying that awareness alone is is enough. We are saying that a more accurate, authentic understanding of something, let's say commitment or authenticity or responsibility or assertiveness, amongst others, that it that actually is necessary, but it's not enough. Yeah. So, but we need to start from awareness. So you can see that we have three different phases. Yeah. But there are three phases that are linked when we're talking about awareness or intentional consciousness in how you relate to various different ideas, concepts, construct, or things. The first one is what I call reception. Reception is when you receive something, as the name suggests, normally outside of your ego or self. Yeah. So it's like it can be as simple as you read something on a billboard as you're driving back home, or it can be like through some conversation, something that your friend is going to say and it's going to trigger something. Or it can be what I call abductive revelations. It's like the thought that strikes you. You don't know where they're coming from, but something triggers you, something occupies your mind. Yeah. So that receptive moment is the moment that you start paying attention to something. For example, it can be like you may not be fully happy with your weight or like your health condition, whatever it is, and it comes to your attention that, oh, actually this is something to be addressed. Yeah. So you may see, for example, like you don't have the performance that you want, and then you're going to look into certain areas and then see if something's not working. So that reception moment often is being triggered externally, yeah, through a friend, a conversation, something you watch. It can be a movie, it can be a book that you read, a sentence in a book, or as I said, it can be some thought that it's striking you. Yeah. So unless that reception is there, it's very unlikely that you're going to go and then acquire r- objective understanding of that whatever it is. Yeah. So for example, be receptive, you may become receptive to the fact that constantly you are breaking your promises. It can be brought to your attention by your manager or one of your employees, or it can be brought to your attention by your spouse, by your children, and or whoever else. So, and then you go, oh, wait a moment. It seems that I have this pattern of breaking commitments without paying attention to it. So the moment that you become receptive to that, then you go, okay, wait a moment. What is my what how is it that I'm relating to, let's say, commitment? Yeah. Now then comes to the goes to the perception. Perception is, it can be like when you read the distinction of commitment as we have it in the ontological model of the being framework. So you start looking into what commitment is, yeah, and then how you're relating to that. And you may read about it, you may try to ask other people, you may enter discussions, you may look into various different perceptions available of that. So you're going to acquire knowledge. Now, when we're talking about reception, we're talking about so the result of reception would be information. You're going to be informed as the thought is going to strike you. The result of perception is going to be knowledge. You're going to acquire knowledge. And then we go to the conception phase. So conception is not a kind of unmediated, uh, mm, immediate um, understanding of something, like the perception. It's going to be when you go and deeply think about it, you bring your mental processes into it. You want to understand, you want to see various different ways to go about that. Let's say commitment, you're going to compare it, you go through comparison, you're going to go through the reflection, you're going to bring mental processes like analysis to deeply understand, let's say in this case, commitment. And very important thing in this phase is you want to make it relatable to the context of your life, or you want to link it to the intentions that you have, that you're unable to fulfill at the moment due to that lack of conception or that misconception that you may have. Yeah. So if we want to bring an example, is like, um, when you um, perceive some objective fact, let's say, for example, you know that the sun rises due to the east. Yeah. So then you go, okay, sure. Like now you know it, you have that knowledge. But what does that mean really to you? Now, when we're talking about conception, then you're going to go through this mental process of relating that back to the context of your life or the intentions that you want to fulfill. For example, if you're an architect, you are designing a house, a blueprint for a house, then it matters to you where the sun is going to rise from, because you're going to design this window in a master bedroom. So you want to know where the sun is going to rise from, so that the master bedroom receives sunlight. Yeah. Or for example, if you are a farmer and you want to plant crops, then it's also important to you in a different way how sun is going to behave. Yeah. So as I've mentioned, when it comes to reception, it's like the result of that is information. You're going to be informed. Yeah. When we are talking about perception, is you're acquiring knowledge. You're acquiring knowledge. Now, like this knowledge can be authentic or not, and that's a separate conversation, or to what degree this is going to be authentic and congruent. But often we either perceive things through our own senses, yeah, going back to the categories and memories that we have back in our mind, and sometimes we're going to tap into existing well-established perceptions of different things. Yeah, your perception of God, your perception of democracy, your perception of responsibility, your perceptions of autonomy, and so on. Now, um, but then when it comes to conception, it's far more lengthy process. Often, you're going to tap into mental processes, as I've mentioned a couple of times now. So now the result of conception is wisdom. So information, knowledge, and wisdom. By wisdom, here we have gathered, we're acquired that kind of a knowledge that in a practical sense is going to add value to our lives. It's going to contribute to the overall integrity of our lives, if you like, so that then you can create, you can put things in the rightful place in your life, yeah, so that they can work for you. So that integrity, due to you having congruent conceptions of different parts of reality, it's going to contribute into the workability of your life. Yeah. So we always want to have a conception of an initial conception of something. Let's say, for example, an initial conception of commitment. We relate to commitment in a way. Now, you're going to go through these different phases of awareness, and then you're going to relate to, let's say, commitment differently. Yeah. Now, here's where the distinction of commitment can help, let's say. Yeah. Then you're going to go to the next phase, which is application. So there you're going to act upon that. You're going to execute. You're going to make this commitment to yourself that when it comes to commitment, you're going to act differently because now you relate to commitment differently. So you're going to commit to yourself, make this promise to act upon it differently. For example, you make this promise to yourself that in this month Whenever I promise something, I'm going to put a pause and I'm going to deeply think about it. I'm not going to say yes or no that easily. Particularly, I don't want to say lots of yeses. I want to give people my real yeses and nos. And I'm going to consider when I say yes, what the scope of that commitment or promise is going to be. Now, so you're going to bring your intentional consciousness, you're going to bring your attention to that promise that you're making to yourself. Now, this promise is going to be sitting here as you're executing on it. Yeah. So so then you're going to execute, you're going to act upon that, and then you're going to track. You're going to learn from that, you're going to refine, and you're going to execute again. Now, to make it a bit more tangible, let me bring this example. So you tell yourself that from here onward, whenever I'm in the meetings at work and I'm making this promise that, okay, I take this task and I'm going to get it done by some time. Yeah. So you're going to make that promise and you're not going to let that slide. Now, this is exactly where the conception worksheet can really help. Yeah. So, for example, you're going to put a commitment up there, an aspect of being, and you're going to set a time frame. Let's say, for example, for a month, you're going to start a week, and you know that what promise you have made to yourself. By the end of the week, yeah, by the end of the week, you're going to sit there and look into the past, look into that 1 week that has just passed in retrospect. You're going to identify the moments, that the instances that you can find that you made promises and you violated that. So you're going to list that. Let's say, for example, you can find five times that you made promises at work or to your spouse, to your partner, to your children, or anyone else. You made a commitment and then you violated that, meaning that you didn't fulfill that, or you didn't do it as you promised. Yeah. You're going to identify those, and this is the tracking side. So you made this promise that you're going to, now that you relate to commitment differently, you have a different, more perhaps evolved conception of commitment. Yeah. In the first phase, in awareness phase, then you made this commitment to yourself that you want to act upon it differently. You start executing on that, and you're going to track yourself for a month, let's say. 1 week has passed. After this 1 week, you're using your conception worksheet. You're finding these instances that you haven't fulfilled your commitments. You're going to list them here under the instance column, and then what you're going to do, you're going to make yourself present to the consequences. So basically, this is part of that tracking. You track the instances in retrospect after that 1 week, you list them, and now you're looking into the consequences that had. For example, if you broke that promise the to one of your colleagues, what was the consequence of that? If you broke a promise to your spouse, what was the consequences of that? For example, it could be your spouse is going to be bitter, it's going to not find you committed, and it can escalate in your relationship and so on. Or for example, that commitment you've broken to your colleague at work, it impacted that person's work, and it's going to have an impact on the overall project. So you're going to basically create these consequences that you can capture. Yeah. For example, that can lead to dissatisfaction of your employer from you, let's say, for the sake of argument, and it can actually lead you to go towards performance review, etc., etc. Or at least you are creating this brand of yourself. You're projecting this persona of yourself that you're not a committed person in the eyes of the other colleagues. And that's what you don't want, perhaps, if you want to build a long term career. Now, and then you're going to go to the third column and you're going to create the alternatives. Yeah. So if we go back and look into the different the different phases within the application phase. In that iteration, we see execution is there, tracking is there, so we're going to track here, and then you're going to um, learn from it. And by looking into these consequences, you're going to learn that certain things not going to work. And the interesting thing is, as you're going through this practice, your conception of commitment, yeah, and how you relate the commitment conversation to the context of your life at work and at home is going to evolve, if it makes sense, as you execute and you track, and then now you're learning. This learning is going to contribute into you developing a more evolved version of your conception of your commitment and relating it back to the context of your life, as we said. So then you're going to come up with the alternatives. You're going to say, okay, so having you being more committed, having a healthier relationship with commitment, how you would have behaved, or what kind of different decisions you would have made, or what kind of different actions you would have taken. So you're going to list them here. Now, again, this is going to contribute to the learning process. You're going to learn that you're going to bring the distinction of commitment, and you're going to make it tangible, relatable to individual decisions that you have made and the individual's actions that you have taken. Then you are going to predict the outcomes that may come due to your now more evolved understanding of commitment in action with regards to those five items that we have listed here. Yeah. So now this is the refine phase. Yeah. So we track using the instances, like we were going to track, and then we're going to identify the consequences, and then we're going to learn from that, and then we're going to come up with alternatives, and then we're going to predict the outcomes that can be created if you act upon um, your understanding of more your evolved understanding of commitment differently now. So this is going to help you to refine the way that you're acting upon your understanding of commitment in action. So how does this land to you, Enrique?
No, I love the conception worksheet. It's one of the tools that I think is so valuable, but does require a lot of effort for those of you looking at this and trying to understand how this works. Although it is time consuming, I tell you, you will get the most value of transformation as we're talking about this through this worksheet. This is where you can literally hone in on the true things that are happening and then devise a plan as we was talking about executing, right? And then be able to track these things. But this is the one tool that I love.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Enrique. Now, would you like to bring up the distinction responsibility, for example? Okay, so if you're using Being Profile, the assessment tool is going to give you a score on the health of your relationship with responsibility, let's say. If not, then you're going to guess where you're standing if you take this distinction as the benchmark, yeah, as the measure. Now, so if you look into the distinction is basically creating in the second paragraph and the third paragraph is creating this picture of how a healthy and an unhealthy relationship with responsibility would look like. You can find the sentences there. Now, so um, if you're if you you pay attention to the unhealthy side of your relationship with responsibility according to this distinction, that's your growth potential. Yeah, we discussed that previously. So you're going to look into that, and then you're going to look into the context of your life. Yeah, so those things, those symptoms that you can see, the things that are not really working. Yeah, Now you're going to leverage the transformation methodology. So you're going to look into first awareness part. You're going to go, okay, so let me see. Like it seems that you are receptive because you're already thinking about this. So I don't talk about reception. You're already there. You already have the concern that the way that you're relating to a responsibility is not necessarily working. Now, if that's not the case, look, it's very likely you need a coach or you need an external party to bring it to your attention, yeah, or wait for abductive revelations, to for thoughts to be like to strike you. So, anyways, so when it comes to perception, you're looking into, let's say, for example, this distinction, and you can study about it, you can watch videos or whatever. You're going to tap into an existing perception of responsibility. Yeah, you're going to gather knowledge around it. Then you're going to develop a degree of conception. Yeah. Now, hopefully, it's going to be as congruent or authentic as possible. But you're going to start with that initial conception. So if you're using the being framework, ontological distinctions, so that's going to give you a perception, and then you're going to start relating that back to the context of your life. You can, for example, look into the unhealthy relationship with responsibility and or commitment, and then you're going to see which of those sentences you resonate with the most, and that's exactly your growth potential. Now you're going to then create a promise to yourself based of that whatever conception do you have created by then. Now this conception is going to evolve as you go through the process of uh, uh, transformation, and that's not going to be one off. It's going to be iterative. Yeah, it's going to keep reiterate. So then you're going to make the promise, you're going to act upon that, you're going to execute, and as we described, we went through, you're going to use the conception worksheet, and you're going to track in instances column, and then you're going to make yourself present to the consequences that has on your life in the tangible, concrete context of your life and what's important to you. You're going to then use your more developed, evolved conception of, let's say, commitment or responsibility, yeah, through the healthy relationship with that aspect of being in the distinction. And then you're going to have a target to go towards. And based of that, you're going to create the alternatives, like in the third column, and then you're going to predict what kind of outcome that's going to bring to you. And if it's appealing enough, you have a target to aim towards. And that's going to then keep uh, generating a more evolved version of your conception of whatever that is, let's say responsibility or commitment. You're going to go through this iteration. And as you keep going through that, then not only your conception of um, commitment or responsibility is going to evolve and become more authentic and accurate, but also your execution is becoming better, and basically you're generating a higher degree of effectiveness, going from competence to proficiency and gaining mastery. By mastery, I mean that you're going to decrease the amount of mistakes that you're going to make, and you're going to do it more delicately. So I hope that this is making sense.
Yeah, totally. This is really where you experience the best of life. This is where you get to actually get involved, identify these things, put it to paper, plan out, do a track, and then really capitalize on that awareness. Right? We talk about awareness being the first piece, uh, uh, but yeah, this is where life really happens.
Yeah. So let me do a kind of recap before we wrap this session up. What we discussed, we said that you do have existing perceptions and conceptions of different qualities in life. Uh, but we said that like you choose to make them values to you, meaning that they are priorities. You want to care about them. We say that because they are self-selected at the end of the day, you don't want to violate them, because the moment that you violate your self-selected value structure, then you're going to lose the respect that you have for yourself. Hence, authenticity matters. So, not only you want that to respect yourself, but also you want that to shape in the integrity of your life, setting different parts of your life in such a way that they work for you. Now, they're not going to work for you. You're not going to be effective. Like sometimes we're going to be catastrophically being ineffective in executing on what basically we value. Uh, so you want integrity to bring that workability and effectiveness in fulfilling the intentions that you care most about. So basically, you start from a degree of awareness. You want to make yourself present. You want to be receptive. Hence, vulnerability matters. And then you're going to look into the perceptions now here with regards to these 31 different qualities that we have. The perceptions are presented um, in the form of distinctions. But then once you look into that, you're going to understand it to a degree. You're going to then conceive that, go through the conception process. You're going to make it relatable to the context of your life and what's important to you. And you're going to tap into mental processes like comparison, analysis, and contemplation and reflection. In that, um, then the conception worksheet is going to be extremely useful, from where you go from the awareness phase to the application phase. There, when it goes to the application phase, you're going to make a promise to yourself based on your existing or newly evolved understanding or conception of that aspect of being, commitment, let's say. Then you make that promise to yourself. You're going to execute, you're going to track, you're going to learn from that, and you're going to refine it, and you're going to execute again through this iterative process of evolving your conception, executing on it. Um, as you go, you're going to generate a higher degree of effectiveness. And that's what basically the transformation methodology of the being framework suggests.
And I hope everyone that you have gotten now what you need to go on your transformation journey. It's been so good to share this being framework transformation methodology with you. Thank you, Ashkan, for taking the time to walk us through that. And folks, I want to remind you that this is part of a series that we have 50 episodes. This is episode 13. We'll have episode 14 as the culmination of this first set of the series. And then we are looking forward to more of a conversational topic around ways of overcoming some of the obstacles that we see in leadership and in corporate. But I'm excited about those things coming up. So if you like, please consider joining the course. It is complimentary, and all the things that are supportive of the conversations that we have are also part of those. And we would love to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Enrique.